Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com. You're joining me on board good old Narrowboat Tilly once again in the middle of summer, and it's absolutely bucketing down out there, so business as usual. Anyway, moving swiftly on, today I would like to give you the grand tour of all of this massive boat that we're on here. At 30 foot, I've often said, even by boat standards, or narrowboat standards at least, Tilly is very small, and I've done videos where I've given quick little tours and done looks at the storage and what there is on board and so on, and really I'd just like to do a proper overall video like that, just a general tour and look around and look at the storage and how much stuff you could reasonably fit on and how I use it and so on. And the reason I want to do this is to just first of all really get one solid good video on the subject that doesn't involve me wildly shaking the camera around like previous attempts, and these previous attempts also are from, must be getting, right, 2 years ago, maybe even before that, you know, that's scary to think. And basically, as the channel has just passed 10,000 subscribers and is about to hit 3 million views as I'm recording this, I just wanted to actually take the time to go, well, hello to all of the new people, hello, and anybody in the future who joins in. This is the actual proper overall look at Tilly. So I'm going to stop talking to the camera and wittering on at you, and we'll start looking more at the boat. Let's hope this rain clears up. Well, we'll start with a quick look out at the stern, but given the weather I think we'll stop inside and peer out into the conditions. Now, the first thing that you may notice apart from the rain is that as I move the camera down, the stern is pretty big. And this is known as a cruiser stern, which basically means that it's a big stern really, I suppose. And amazingly, this accounts for 10 out of 30 foot of Tilly's entire length. And it's got these unusual railings around the edge here that you've probably already noticed, which are extremely handy to be able to lock my bike up to. But as unfortunately they don't turn and tilt inwards like the actual top of the boat does, they do stick upwards and outwards further than the actual main cabin part of the boat here, which when I'm going through tunnels and so on means that they tend to snag and get caught on the walls. So that's something that I have to be extremely careful with, and very often people may have seen me and a friend going through tunnels together with one of us on the stern and the other person holding a rope, keeping the boat away from the tunnel wall. So that's a quick look out on the stern. Like I say, there's not much to say. The handy thing with the size, although obviously I think ultimately I would prefer to have a few more of these feet of space indoors, it is extremely handy over the summer months, or I say summer months, and today is the perfect example of what not to hope for during the summer. But if I have friends out on the boat, very often we will all have biked from somewhere or be biking to somewhere. So having such a large open area at the back here is extremely handy to be able to have multiple bikes locked up to the back and still have room to come out and eat in the sunshine and put a little chair up or two and all that sort of stuff. So all in all, there's the stern, and I suppose it's time that we actually got inside the boat properly. So if I stand here with my back against the stern door, you can see this is the view that you get every time you enter or leave Tilly. Although if you're leaving, hopefully the front doors would actually be closed across all that massive area at the front that's currently open. But anyway, as if by magic, the bathroom door is opening to our left, and we're going to take a quick look inside. So in here you've got everything you expect: shower, toilet, even a set of scales, a load of storage area here underneath the sink where there's a spare toilet tank and also things like the toilet chemicals and a few tins of paint and so on. If we come up here, you'll see the world's smallest sink. The boiler as well for the boat is in the bathroom, and also these shelves, which unfortunately I don't really use anymore, as over the years too many fast boats have come past very quickly indeed and tipped a load of stuff off there into the sink, which has unfortunately ended up putting a little crack into the sink itself, as this is only some sort of bizarre plastic affair. One of the things I will point out in here though, certainly with things like baby wipes and body spray and that, is you're about to see a good indication of my purchasing habits, where I'll do shopping trips where I won't buy many different items, but I'll buy a lot of that individual item, if that makes sense, which will very often be things like multiple body sprays and baby wipes and kitchen rolls and let's think, kitchen sponges, just all sorts of general household items like that. I will tend to purchase in bulk, and considering that there's 2 of these in here, there's another one we'll see later on in the boat. I thought that I would just come down to the very front of the boat to give you a quick look at the view looking back up towards the stern door there where I was just speaking from. So hopefully if you haven't seen a proper rundown of Tilly and any of my videos before, this will help to give you a little bit more context into the size and the feel of the place. So we have got the sofa bed here, which makes up the bedroom in the night time and of course the living room in the daytime. Very fancy lifestyle that I live, as I'm sure many of you are already aware. And just in these 2 boxes here I have got my pillows and all sorts of covers and blankets and an awful lot of stuff in general. So if we have a look now back down to the front of the boat, I'll say underneath the sofa bed itself is where I keep the sort of non-essential items that don't really ever need to be touched or used too much. So for example, that's things like my tent and camping mats and things like that that haven't really got a specific boat use that needs to come about and be used every single day, if hopefully that makes sense. I've just let another boat go past, so now that we've stopped rocking around, our tour will continue. And if I sit down on the sofa bed here, then you'll notice that opposite that we have got these 2 cupboards. Now the first one here is full of clothes, and well, there's not really much to be said apart from, yes, I know, it's 1 pair of exact identical clothes after another, loads of camouflage, loads of greens and browns and so on, except for this top shelf really, where I've got my high vises and hat and scarf and gloves and stuff like that for when it gets cold on my bike helmet just on the top there. One of the things as well, I'll just throw this in as a random mention here, so that's the clothes cupboard. What I tend to do with my clothes is wear the same clothes on my bike for a long time. Because I spend so much time actually out and about on my bike, you can imagine that I get pretty sweaty, certainly over the summer months. So instead of either being in conditions like this, getting a soak in, or getting really hot and sweaty and having to stay in those clothes all day if I'm going out to my friend's house and so on, what I tend to do is, and in fact if I turn the camera around now, please don't start kicking off about all the moving camera angles in this video as we come up to the front here. What I tend to do is have a certain set of clothes in this bag here hanging on the front door, which are my cycling clothes. So I'll start wearing them and then basically take out with me in my backpack a good pair of clothes to put on when I get to my destination, and then that means I can have one sort of horrible sweaty pair of clothes stored completely separate and differently to the rest of my clothing, and then not have to constantly be like, right, I've gone out on my bike, now for the rest of the day I'm going to be in these clothes I've been sweating in for the last hour or so. It's just a case of get changed, then have a good fun day at my friends or whatever I'm doing, and then when I get on my bike, get changed again, and then cycle back, obviously then having the final change of clothes for the day when I return to Tilly. So that's just a random thing there, so obviously that stops you getting your clothes absolutely soaked if it's a rainy day, or of course being horrible and sweaty for the rest of the day if it's a beautiful hot summer's day. Anyway, moving swiftly on after that distraction. See, I've got me hooks just above the fireplace there. We've got the little stove here on Tilly. Obviously got the kettle, which always goes on top of the fire here. And as I say very often, one of the great benefits of having this fire with these removable rings is being able to always have some good hot water in the kettle. And that's how I end up hardly ever using the boiler to heat the water during the winter months, because the fire's always going. And so, as I say in many videos, might as well put a kettle on it and make the most of what you're burning anyway. So that's the fireplace sorted, not too much to say about that. We've got the cooker here, we've got our 2 rings on the top, we've got a little grill underneath, and then the small oven there. Underneath that is the general bits box of the boat, and a windlass and a saw blade, and behind that is the proper toolbox. And I've just realised, my apologies, that we haven't looked in this other cupboard. So this cupboard here is the general day-to-day life cupboard where I've got all sorts of bits and pieces. Not too much stuff in here, and a lot of what I did keep in here has gone into the toolbox that I just talked about, and that's what in fact reminded me. Again, you're seeing the buy in bulk ideals of Dan Brown. Same type of tissues, even in different packaging. Buy them all at once, get them out to the boat. Lovely stuff. But yeah, this is where I keep things like any trinkets, obviously medical stuff, and just general bits and pieces. So if we come up next to the cooker, we've got the food cupboard, and once again, that's all sorts of bits and pieces. If I grab the cereal bar bag, once again, people may know I'm a big fan of cereal bars. And when I say I'm a big fan of cereal bars, I've got a good selection on board at the moment. And again, it's all that Dan Brown theory, buy in bulk, and hopefully then you'll be covered for a good while to come. Anyway, moving past that, that is, like I say, the kitchen area basically, where we've got the cooker, we've got the food cupboard, little worktop area here, and then my proper little desk where I do me writing. Very rare that I actually have the MacBook out on the boat, so I don't know, enjoy that sight. I'm trying to crack down with a lot of writing that I'm doing for the next book at the moment, so that's why that's out here, and it certainly is never left on board when I'm away, I'll say that much. But again, this is where I sit and do a lot of writing, a lot of video editing, and an awful lot of writing in my journal. If you've seen my recent little video on this, showing all the little pictures and so on, then this is the desk that I do most of that at. Well, pretty much all of it really these days. This may well be an excellent moment to have a quick look through the front doors here. And some people may notice from previous videos that sometimes the front of the boat is covered over with a little cover that comes from the front of the boat diagonally up to the roof of the boat here, which obviously encloses everything and keeps it all nice and dry, which would have been very handy to have had up today. I'm afraid it's a little bit of a tip out here at the moment, as I've still got a load of old coal bags, and I've still got my horrible rusty grimy water bottles there. Not rusty, I can't think of the term, but green water bottles from when the engine wouldn't stop drinking water. But the important thing out here to look at is all of these plastic tubs. Now there's things like the hose pipe and ropes in those ones, but very importantly we have got in this one and the other one a lot of firewood. And this, you can imagine, is extremely handy during the winter months, that if I run out of firewood in the middle of the night, for example, I can just come out to these front doors, especially with them being this halfway up stable door affair. I can just push one of the windows open, reach through, grab a load of wood, and then put it straight into the fire. Extremely handy, as I'm sure you're probably imagining on a very chilly, cold winter's night, to not have to leave the boat or even see the outside to grab a load of firewood. Lovely stuff. As the weather is showing absolutely no signs of improving, we will continue and finally get to the end of our little tour here with the rest of the kitchen. So we have got the sink area, which is pretty self-explanatory. We have also got a drawer here that I keep obviously cutlery and knives and forks and things like that in. Obviously things like matches and general items you would expect to find in a kitchen cupboard, along with a nice little Leatherman penknife, which I'm a big fan of. Underneath we've got the kitchen cupboard, which again, this is your sort of standard fare, I suppose. If we come down and have a look, we've got fire lighters, candles, all of the sort of cleaning stuff that you would expect, Windowline, Jay's fluid, all sorts of stuff. And again, I suppose, tying into the buy-in bulk idea, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 air fresheners there lined up. And, well, like I say, this is pretty much what you would expect to find in any kitchen, whether it was floating around on a boat or in a dry land fixed residence. I'm not sure why I said that as fixed residence so incredibly officially instead of saying house. And just past here we've got another little bit of a storage area. We've got our third can of the same type of body spray here, more baby wipes, and all the sort of general bits and pieces for cleaning, washing and all that sort of stuff. And again, the reason that I'm keeping all of this stuff down here currently is because of the unfortunate nature of having so many boats going past extremely quick that there's all sorts of stuff tipped off in the past. And some of you may have seen my recent video talking about basic boat tips, which I said in that as I came back one day to find that the washing up liquid had fallen off the sink onto the floor here. The lid had come off it and there was just washing up liquid all over the floor. So, I suppose on that note, I will say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this very quick look around good old Narrowboat Tilly, and please do check out my other videos for loads more boaty bits like this. Thank you very much for watching once again. If you'd like to help me out and support these videos, then please do consider checking out my short Kindle books about boat life. If you search Amazon for The Narrowboat Lad, then they'll pop up, or you can find those and many more links to all sorts of stuff like Facebook and Twitter in the description below. Until the next time though, keep it incredibly boat-worthy. Hopefully you're having better weather than this, and until the next time, farewell.